to Go Coding YouTube channel. Today video you are going to study about React hooks. Yes, so let's see the tables of contents. What is a hook? And we will study about 8 hooks you must know, and each and every hook we will study with the predicate using the example. And so let's see what is a hook. Hooks allow us to hook into React features such as state and lifecycle methods. So in here, like there are rules you must know. There is not a lot, only 3 rules for a hooks. Hooks can only be called inside React function component. So you will see what is React function component later on, and hooks can only be called at the top level of component as well. So what are the top level of component and how React can only be used at that level? So you will study about more in the practical. And hook cannot be conditional, right? So as a note, hook will not work in React class component as well. So you have to think the rules and regulation of hook when you start writing the code. Okay, so that being said, let's see 8 hooks you must know. So number 1 is useState, and number 2 we will study about useEffect, and number 3 useContext, and useRef, and useReducer, and useCallback, and the useMemo, and finally we will study about the custom hook that we will create our own hooks as well. So let's look at the useState with the example in React hook. So first, I have already created the React project using the npx create React app, and so this is the React folder, and that is just a fresh React starter project. So there is nothing inside. We will work on it in the app.js to see the to learn about the React hook in here. So I will go into the documentation first. So in the documentation, you can find HOOKX, rules of hooks. And here you may see more than 8 hooks. But I will study first, like we will study for useState, right? So that being said, what is the useState in here? So useState is a state variable. Here we will have like the return style is const, and you have to start with the bracket and close bracket. Inside that you must have only 2 things, which is the initial state variable value, and the another is a state function, like function to change the initial state value, right? So you have to use useState, which will be import from React, and initial state can be every data type like integer or variable or boolean or object array, anything you can be. So that being said, let's see the actual example here. So that app, if I delete that div, I mean here from header, right, that div, inside that div, let's say I will write button, I mean bottom, yeah, bottom, and then I can say press press me, so mes times, right now I will put 0 times. So you press me 0 times. So to change that 0 value, you can use the useState in the React, right? So to use that, let's do the return format style like const, and we have to start with the bracket and then count count, and we can use the set count to change that state variable, and then you have to use state, right? In here you may see useState and useEffect and useCallback and a lot, right? So these are the things you can use useState, and then inside here we can pass variable anything we want, like I said, like object array or boolean or number or string. So right now I will put initial state value as a 0 here, right? So that being created, the count is declared, but its value is never read. So we have to read that value in our component, right? So as a rules of React hooks, you cannot use the useState or any other hook inside the component level. That's why it's always mentioned you to use at the top level component, right? So now we are declaring here. So we'll grab the count, and then to reuse here, you have to start with the curly bracket and end with the curly bracket. Inside it you can define, right? So now it's 0. If I change here to it will change 2 here as well. If I change 4, it will change 4. So we don't want to change here manually, so we can use that set count. To use it, you can call the event, right? Click event. Like important, we have click event. So let's say on CLICK on click, and then inside here you can call using the arrow key array function. Arrow key function. Inside here you can say set count, and then you have to pass the new variable you want to pass. Let's say 1. Here is 0. Okay. So if I press, as you see, 1. If I press here 4, let's say it will pass the value 4. But if you want to increase 1 by 1, you can say count plus 1, right? So if you press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, now it's like save the previous value data and adding the new value to that variable state, right? So that is using for the useState. I hope you will understand what is the useState in real hook. And let's see the other example. So using the 2 variable this time, let's say instead of count, I will delete that, and I will delete that one also. I want to show another thing here. Let's say const and name and set name, right? So after that, you can use useState, and first thing first, we'll say GOOCODING, go coding, right? So that go coding will be the name of the integer state value as a name of the go coding, right? So in here, let's create another one, input. IMPUT input. Perfect. Now inside the input, we can close like this. Okay. So inside input, I will say value as a name that we just created here, right? So I can remove that button. I don't need right now. So after that, we can have the events in the input, like on chain event. So on chain, if it is chain, I will say set name from the event, right? So I say e.target.value. So that value, right? So if I type something, it will be define the set name as a new value for that initial state of the name value, right? So that being said, let's say I will print that value as a paragraph in here using the p tag, and p. So inside here, hello, hello, and then name. So to write 2 different element tag, you have to warp with the read empty tag here, right? So you can warp and it will solve the problem. So now you are seeing hello go coding. So if I type, if I delete, it's working in real time. Hello, so you can name it whatever you like, Matthew, MATHEW. Now it is listening the event, and then it's updating in real time using the useState value. So it all the time re-render the UI, re-render the component, right? So that's being said, I hope you will understand what is that useState in real hooks. And let's keep going and studying about another one, which is useEffect. We will be going to study useEffect here. So here in the real documentation, useEffect is that lets you synchronize a component with external system. Here in external system, it can be a server, like fetching the data from the server with the API call, like that. So that useEffect work when you render that component for the first time. It will be working automatically without any user interaction, right? So that is all about useEffect. Let's say if you want to fetch the data from that API, user1 ID1, and type it as a JSON object value you receive from the API. So this is from the external system data, right? So you want to show that in your component, you can use at that time useEffect, right? So that being said, before we fetch the data and show using useEffect, I will show you with the example like we see count and set count and useState, that the one you just studied about. So now we will add the useEffect from the React, right? useState and the useEffect. Now we have two hooks we are studying together. So that's timeout is like trying to every 1 second the count value will be increased, right? So that useEffect will work when you call that component. So you don't need to have any interaction like clicking or something. You don't need any click events here using useEffect, right? So that being said, let's create the component here, h1, and let me check here. Okay, h1, I will say count value increase increase auto maticall automatically to the value of count that we got from here, right? So now if I go into here, I didn't click anything, but it's going automatically and re-rendering the UI. That's why your selected value is disappear when you select, right? So it is re-rendering the UI. So that being said, useEffect it automatically render when you call that. So if I refresh here, now it's 0, 2, 3, so it's working automatically for it. So that being said, let's fetch the JSON data from the external server, right? So I will create the this is the airband, right? Airband JSON. So I will create not count this time. I will this time airband, right? album, and we'll say set album airband. And that useState we can define any value, like I said, any variable, number, boolean, string. So I will put null as a default value. So it will be null when we start fetching, right? So now that event has been created. We will reuse that value later. So I will delete in here. So another thing very important is if you don't want to if you don't want to call useEffect again and again, so you can put the empty array inside useEffect. I mean the outside of arrow return function key. So you can put the empty array list, which means that useEffect will be work once when that component is called. So it will not. Let's write the function inside the useEffect to call the API response here. So I will create fetch, fetch album, right? So that function we need to create outside of the useEffect or inside according to your preference. Right now I will create the outside fetch album. So now after that you have to create asynchronous function like its document set. You synchronize the component with the external system, right? So we will be using asynchronous here to fetch the data, and I will put I will return with the arrow function key. Inside here you can say const res response and await fetch, right? So fetch the API response from here. Then after you can say const data const data equal const data equal after you fetch the data you will receive the response, right? So that response we can assign to the const data equal await response.json data, right? So you are getting that JSON data. So that data we can set into the event, right? So I can do very simple like that. So by set event, that useState function will set the data that received from the response JSON and the value of event here. It will be not null anymore from one calling that. So now we have already called our fetch event. So that useEffect will call once, and then the data state will be changed here. So data is ready. That event is ready, right? Ready to use in our component. So for that, you need to validate, right? So let's say album event is included, and then we will call the actual h1 div here, right? So I will say, oops, and I will say like this, right? So instead of count, you have to call that event, right? So event dot name, title. We have title, title. So that event title is from here, right? So we can change here, buf title event title. Perfect. Now you are seeing the title event title here. So that is how you can use the useEffect. So when you refresh, you see that data has been fetched and it is now showing the data from the external system of the JSON REST form. So that is how you can use useEffect in React. I hope you will understand. See, looking at this example, so we use now useState and useEffect. So we will study more about useContext. Okay, perfect. We are going to study about another React hook, which is called useContext. So that is a React hook that lets you read and scribe to a context from your component. That context here, it means you can reuse that React variable entirely, like globally accessible, right? So it's mean that in the so let's study about the React context. So that React context is another React hook that lets you read and subscribe to the content from your component. Here in content main globally variable, it's make the variable value as a global, so you can access from your component anywhere. So let's see in the action. So now we have nothing here, app. So let's say I will create the using useState, I will create the username. So name, user set user. So and then I will say use state in here. As a default, I will give go cod and decoding. Perfect. Now if we want to use that user, I can simply say user, right? So now we got go coding. So in front I will put hello go coding. So now this is very straightforward. We just studied previously about useState, and we don't have any other useContext here. So I will create another component here outside of that app. So I will say functml function component component 1, right? So after that we will define return here. Return, I will return with the h1, let's say h1 hello hello from component 1, right? Hello from component 1, and then I will put the username, right? So here, so if I want to call that user from that component, we can pass the data using the prom like parameter through the component, but we don't want to do like that. So at this time you can use the useContext in order to access that data globally, right? So let's create the const variable used user context. So that being create, we have to create using the keyword create context from the React, right? So now it's imported here. So now we have created, but we have to use the user context provider in order to use that data from the parent component, right? So or you can create your custom component, custom hook. So right now I will use the like user context dot provider, right, that we just created here. And then after that I will paste again that div hello user, right? Everything is the same thing. So in the provider we have to pass the actual value data that we want to use globally. So now that user is accessible in every component, right? So let's say I will pass the component 2 here, component 1 here, right? So that component, now you see hello from component 1. So that hello from component 1, we can use that user as well here. So that we cannot use directly here. So we have to recall the variable here, like user equal useContext. So using the that useContext, and then what we want to use that user context we just created above. So that being created, you can now call that user directly from your component. Now as you see, hello go golden is that username coming from here, and then another one as we are accessing from the user content provider go golden here, right? So that is the logic of using use context. So that use context is very useful when you want to create the light and dark themes. So I will show you the example. I will delete that, and I will show you the light and dark things using the use context in React. So this is the code about that. So I will not write from scratch. This is a lot of code, but I will explain you. So as we see, we created theme context like user context at the top level of the component, and then we created the theme provider component separately, right? So we have like useState data, initial state value, theme as a light theme as a default, and then this is the another function. When that function is called, it will set that themes into the according to the previous value. If it is light, we will say dark. If it is dark, we will say light, right? It's very straightforward and you don't need to worry about that. And another thing is we use the theme context of provider that we want to pass the attribute value as a globally, which is called theme and target theme. So we have two value we are passing, right? And then after that we use children. Anything inside that will be affected. So now we create our own custom hook using the use theme, and then we pass the use context as a theme context, that one we just created, right? So whenever you call that custom hook in your another component like theme component, now you are calling that use theme as your own custom created hook, and in there you have two things, right? Themes and the target theme here. So now you can grab that theme and target theme function in your component. So let's say here when you click, that target theme is a function you created in here, right? Setting the theme light to dark, dark to light. So now after you click, it will change and affect it to the theme value. So if it is light, you can simply turn into the FFF main white, right? If it is no light, in the other hand, you can say this one is as a I mean this is for the background, right? Background, and this is for the color. So if I press here as that button, if I press that button, now the color is changed, right? That current theme is now dark. So that is in the main like app. We have to write theme provider with the theme component, right? We call that theme component here. So now we are seeing that component. When you press and it change, that use content is very useful when you create with the light and dark things, right? So that being said, I hope you will understand how you can use that thing, use context in React hooks. So let's study about another React hooks. Now we will study about useRef. Okay, what is React useRef? So let's study about the theory first. So React ref is React useRef is a hook that lets you reference a value that is not needed for rendering. You know, that's straightforward. So what is rendering? Rendering means when you use the useState, if you click something using useState, it re-render the web page like the component, right? So it re-render the entire UI. So but when you use the useRef, so it will not re-render the UI, right? It is only return one value which is current with the object format. Let's say that useRef always hold the data of the latest data state. Let's say it's written with the object, so object is written like this, and current, current, then maybe 1 if it is number, or maybe hello, hello if it is a string, or maybe any other value you wish. So that being said, let's see the useRef in action. So I will create the counter here. Let ref equal, you can say console useRef, and then we will say as a default 0, right? So we have our ref and the using the useRef in the React. So that value always return the format data type like current current and 0, right? So that being said, let's record the current value, right? So in here, let me see, I will create button. Okay, so button button. So that button will click the when we click that button, we want to see the action using useRef. So let's say on click, we will say handle click, HANDLE so we have to create that function CLICK, right? So I will put CLICK and click me. So now we will create the handle function outside of that function, and we will say function and like that, right? Handle click. Then I will use the value that we just created, ref, right? So now if I create, we have to call the current, right? Because it's always returned with the object. That's why you have to use that current keyword after door current, and then we will say equal ref dot current plus 1. So now we just added the number 1. Okay, if the current is 0, it will plus 1, and next time it will be 1. So if we click that action has been applied, it will change to the ref value without re-rendering the component. So when you use useState, that re-render happen infinity. That's why you cannot stop it. So that's to solve that problem, useRef is here, right? So now that being said, let's see the action. So to see the action, you have to go alert alert click ref dot current, and we can say times. So that being created, let's see here. So if I click, now you see you click 1 times, and let's click another, you click 2 times, right? So to see in the console log as well, you can say co and sole console.log, and you can say ref. You have you print the log, the ref object, right? So let's see in the component. So if I click, now as you see, the value current 1 is giving me back, right? So with the object data type, that is what useRef for, and I hope you will understand what is useRef in React. So that being said, let's see another example of useRef. So when you write in a website which is like a movie website, so at this time you want to pause a video or place a video, or in this time, let's see, I will show that example. I will not write a code here as well. So now we have is play and is set is playing. As a default is false, and you use the useRef. So as a default no. So we have handle click here, like playing and pausing video and playing video. So if it is that handle click has been called, so we will say next is playing, right? So is playing. So it means like reverse. If it is playing, we will say pause. If it is pause, we will say playing, right? Set is playing. So now we set that value again, that value true or false boolean. Then if it is next is playing, we will say ref current, and then we just hit the play function, and then it will play. If it is not, it will fall. So pause. So by doing that, if I click that button will call handle click, passing through the variable. Like if it is play, if it is playing, we will say pause keyword here. If it is not playing, we will say play again, right? So that being said, like that is just simple, a video with the frame. So it listen, that video is listening on play, set playing true, on pause, set playing false. So using the ref, right? So using the that ref mean that video is always listening for that ref value, right? So it will not re-render. Let's say here, if I click play, now it's playing. So it doesn't re-render entire that web page. It's only working the play and pause function for only that specific video, right? So as you see, the rest will be stay the same. So that being said, I hope you will understand about the real hook and real hook of the useRef, and let's study about another one, which is useReducer. So now we will study about the useReducer in React. So let's study first what is the useReducer. Like it is like the use state in React, like the use state. You have like initial state, right? And then you can change the state. This is a piece of like state. If you have like more than one state, it is really complex state. Like when you are writing e-commerce website, at this time you have to think about customer add to cart and customer decrease the item from the cart, and customer update the item of the cart. And at this time you have a lot of state to manage. At this time, if you are using the set state, and it is difficult for you and difficult for the developer to read the code and understand when the project is bigger and bigger. So in that case, that useReducer is really simple, and it is efficient to manage the complex logic state. So in here, let's see the in action. So in here, we'll create the reducer first, right? So every reducer, you have to remember, every IEDUC reducer, they have like state and ACTI1 action. So that being said, let's create the function called counter reducer. Here we will see the simple example here. So counter IEDUC reducer. Now, as I mentioned, every reducer, they have state and action, right? So let's receive the state and the action as a parameter in here. So receiving the parameter from the function count reducer. So for now let's say return, and we'll return the state. We do nothing, right? We'll return the state that we receive. So let's say in here, let me create the useReducer. So like that, we have to create the there is state and the dispatch in dispatch. So when you use reducer, you have state and the dispatch all the time, right? So and then you can say use reducer. In here, you have to pass the counter reducer and the initial data as a object type. So I will pass counter reducer as the initial data with the object type. You have to say count as a key, right? As a key, and the value will be as the initial state as a 0. So now if you want to use that value initially, you can definitely call that state in here, right? So that being said, let's call the using the h1, and you press press me like as it state.count. So in here, every state, they have the value count because we define the count here, right, as a key value pair. So now you press me 0 times. If I change number 1 in here, so it will update the data in here, right? So it is listening that initial data state. So how can you change like automatically using the useReducer state management? So that's very straightforward. You can create the button, and let me create using the tag butt. Okay, perfect. Now I will close that button, and I will say click, click me. So when you click, you want to increase the you have like action, right? Action. So now we never apply that action. So that action can be adding to the cart, removing the item from the cart. These are the kind of action. So let's say now we want to increase action. So I will say on click, and we have to return arrow key, and in here I can say dispatch. So now in the dispatch we have to pass the action, right? So every action you pass, you have to use the object type, right? Type, and the value will be increase, increase. So now we are passing the type increase as a action data using dispatch. Now that dispatch will pass the cart reducer as an action here. So now we can use that action using the switch cape as WIDC switch, right? So action dot type. If there is type in the action, that type in the action, I will say case if it is in case of increase increase, now we have increase, right? The value is increased. I will return the data type as a object, the same value using the count. Let's say here as a 1 and here as a 0, right? Here as a 0 and as a default, where is okay? So I will return that value as a default DEFAULT and return the state, right? So that being said, when you click here, it will dispatch that action. That action is always listening from the counter reducer using useReducer, right? So now if we got the type of action increment, we will say change count value to number 1. So let's do. Now as you see number 1. So if I want to increase that value, so you can simply say state dot count plus 1. So now you are trying to increase the count value in the state, right? So the state hold the count key in order to get the value. So that being said, let's click. So now you are seeing the state, right? So if you have another state, you know, it is very simple and efficient to manage the state. Now you don't need to worry about, you just need to copy that button and you just need to create the decrease decrease. So if I got the case decreasement as the action here, I simply add like action. If it is in decrease, I can bring that and I can say minus 1. So you don't need to write a lot of code. You don't need to define a lot of useState for each like increment and decrement. So that's very straightforward and easy. So if you say instead of clip me, decrease decrease me, and here increase increase me. So now if I press decrease me, now as you see, and increasing decreasing. So that is pretty much about the useReducer in React hook. So I hope you will understand what is the reducer, and you know it is you might think it is really complex and difficult, but actually it is really save a lot of your time and it's really helpful for the developer. In my developer experience, it is the useful reducer I've been using a lot when I'm doing the e-commerce website. So let's see the another example. So in here, like I said, in e-commerce website, I create the full e-commerce website. In here, I will show you using the React Node.js. So if you are interested in, you can go and see in my playlist. This one, I use the cart reducer in here, right? I mean the useReducer in here. So you may go and check. You may go and check. So that being said, let's go to another. So here we have like action, right? So that action can be add item to cart, remove item from cart. Here let's think about removing, decreasing the counter, right? So clear cart, like clear all the item from the cart. So we have 3 action. So we created the cart reducer. So like I said, every reducer, they should have state and action. Now until the action is there, it will be working like action.add item. So we got the add item as the action type, right? So you can also define like a simple way like add underscore item, right? It's also the same thing. And then if we got the remove item value, we will say item will be removed from the list and something like this, right? So now we have the main component function here, shopping cart. So we use the useReducer using the state and dispatch, and we call the cart reducer we just created, right? So state and action. So first of all, the item list will be empty as an array, and we have add item function, remove item function, clear item function using the dispatch from here, right? Everything is the same thing. We pass just type and the action type, like add item will be having the that value, right? So you can write both option. By writing like that, it is more well organized code, right? So that being said, when you create the add item on click, it will pass the date time now and the item and the state item or the lamp plus 1, right? So that being said, let's see how you can manage the shopping cart using the cart reducer. Let's see if I click one item is now in the cart, and if I add two items, if I remove item one is removed. So at that kind of stage, it is complex state in an e-commerce website. So using the useReducer is save a lot of your time and it's well organized, and that's it. That's it for the useReducer. Thank you guys. So see you. And useMemo at the same time. So useCallback we use in the real hook for the cache a function, right? So cache a function between re-render. So when you use useState, the entire UI of your component is re-render. So it take a couple of seconds. So at this time your web performance is not good enough as you expect. So at this time you can use useCallback. Some of the function you don't need to refresh or re-render the UI. So for the useMemo, it's at the same logic, right? So it saves your variable data as a cache, right? So when you call that data next time, you don't need to re-render the UI. So it is the logic of using useCallback and useMemo. So let's see in the action. I will not write the code. The code in here is the same thing that we saw above. So let's see. We have chain component. So I have the console.log chain component re-render, and the I have parent component. In here we have count value using the useState as a default will be 0, and we have handle click function. So that function has been using useCallback. So that handle click function is cache after he has been clicked, after it's have been clicked. So when you click next time, it will be calling from the cache. That function will be called from the cache. So that being said, you pass that on button click handle click that function in the chain component, right? So let's see in the action. That chain component will be working when you click increment, right? So if the entire web page we render, that chain component will be called again, and then the console.log will be working. If we click just the button, so it will not re-render every UI in here. So that chain component will not be recalled again. Just you will be seeing that function is called. So that being said, let's see the action. So now if I increment, as you see, the chain component, that log is you are seeing in here re-rendering, right? So that's why we see that log, because that chain component has been called. But if I click just here, as you see, it's not re-rendered. It just you are just seeing that console.log in here, right? You don't that p tag or that button or that def element never re-render. Just you are seeing that console.log. So that is very straightforward. I hope you will understand how you can use useCallback as a real function and save the cache. So that being said, let's see the useMemo. So I will I can delete, no problem. Let's see in the action. So now we have to import the useState. Okay, so now it's import that and useMemo as well. I will explain you the code. So in here we have like a expensive calculation component, right? So that component we have count and input value. The count we set as initially 0 as a value is 0, and the input fee is empty. So this is one of the function, right, to simulate the expensive calculation. So that being said, let's see another one. So we use the useMemo here. So that useMemo will be called that function just passing the count value here, right? So if I pass the count value 0, it will be using the for loop here, right? So it will simulate a delay, and then after that you can remove that, but this is just I want you to see what is the useMemo is. So and then it will multiply with the 2, and the value will be, for example, here is 1 multiplying 2, so it will be 2, right? So 2 multiplying 2, it will be 4, something like this. So this is just a function, and then we can, so when you write useMemo, you can write with the bracket, and then you have to make sure, right? So that count value have need to be put. Only recalculate when count change. So it will not calculate again and again if the count value is the same, right? So this is the logic for that. And then you will have the input fee and the set count, increment count, right? So if you here, let's see in the action. If I increase the count, so it re-render, you see, expensive calculation, and then it multiply with number 2. And if I increase another one, this will be 2. So 2 into 2 will be 4. So if I increase and 3, that 3 and the 2, that 2 multiply 6, right? So that being said, if I type here like testing, so it's never this value never calculate, because it's only calculate when the count value is changed, right? So that is how you can make your website performance better, and it will not affect the component that you don't want to. So using the useMemo, so it's a result of the using useMemo and the useCallback. So I hope you will understand the 8 real hooks in this video.